The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, the Valspar Championship Bets, Picks, Preview, one and done. We got it all for you. If you want to get into a draw for 20 DK dollars, here's what you do. Smash the like button for the episode. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Let me know the player with the highest odds you think is going to miss the cut at this very difficult Copperhead course, or the Innisbrook Resort, as they call it. I just prefer to call it Copperhead because it has a big snake statue in it when you enter the snake pit, Geoff Fienberg.
Scary.
It's a better statue than the bear trap.
This tournament, I would say, has the most reincarnations of any since I've become a golf fan.
It was the Tampa Bay Open one year.
The transitions, which, oh my God.
Now
do you know anyone that rocks those?
I don't. Trevor Immelman, maybe? I feel like he used to be in those commercials on the golf channel.
It was like the St. Petersburg or Tampa Bay.
It was the Tampa Bay Classic or something like that.
And even before transitions, it was probably
this wasn't the the Travelers.
Transitions, that sort of was a small blip where it was called that one. I believe Luke Donald won one of the transitions.
He did.
Cashed for me.
2000
in a playoff because Ernie Els missed like a 3 or 4 footer.
5-person playoff. He won in. They went out as a 5-some in the playoff. And Luke Donald ended up squeaking out. Ernie Els needed to win that week to get into the Masters, and he didn't. But I think he showed well enough in Houston that he ended up getting his way in anyway. And that may have been the year that he had the 6-putt on the first hole.
No, that was
later.
That's
I'm getting that confused.
That's more recent. That was like 2 years ago.
I want to thank everyone out there for not only making the Players video and the Players podcast the most downloaded and watched Pat Mayo experience ever. It's pretty awesome. Outside of majors, of course, because people like to tune into the majors. So I thank you all for that and for filling the Pat Mayo Experience DraftKings Open rather quickly for 5,000 spots for the players. It's down this week to 4,000 entries for the Valspar, as not a lot of people love the Valspar compared to the players, but the link is in the description of this video and podcast right now. $15 to enter, $5,000 for first prize. A lot of people. Bergerson ended up coming inside the top 10. Moose came 10th. I cashed one of 3 lineups because I could if Paul Casey or Sung J M had made the cut last week, I would have been dancing.
Paul Casey for me.
There was a lot of just bombs, like Xander. I didn't have any Xander or Cabrera Bello, and they were super highly owned. They both missed the cut. I just had a ton of Sung J and Paul Casey, and then missing the cut basically ended my week.
I also was a little surprised how much I struggled to cash with some of my 5 for 6s, but I guess I don't know.
Did you have a lot of Rory?
No.
Well, if you didn't have Rory, it was tough to cash the 5 of 6.
I did a bunch of them, but I don't know. I thought they'd all have been safe, but I guess once the cut was made, a lot of those elite players kind of squeaked through and did get a play of the weekend.
Yeah, like Hideki had a weekend for himself.
That helped me.
I thought that he was going to make a
run. That helped. That helped and that hurt because that only... we've been on this train almost since Torrey. We took Phoenix off because we felt it was too it
was too low.
Too low. But every time they've given the 28s, the 30s, the 40s, I'm in blind. And his weekend performance it just when you think you're out, you get sucked right back in.
I'm getting the exact same vibes from Sergio this week. Just is that on Sir? My entire every pick that I had, every bet that I had, my DraftKings team Saturday at the Players was not a success. For any of them. They were all just fucking terrible. And then they all come out and shoot great rounds on Sunday after they're out of it and post these great numbers like, oh yeah, Sergio, you can be live again here.
So this was one of those Sundays. How do I say this properly? Because I want you to get into what you got to get into. But This is quick. When I first started betting on golf or really starting to like it, my only real expectation or desire was that it was when I had a ticket on Sunday, it was the only thing that gave me the same feeling as watching the Chargers play.
Okay.
And that's an addictive feeling to me.
So if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
No, watching the Chargers play has nothing to do with gambling.
It's that feeling that you
get. It's that feeling of excitement. It's Sunday. I need this pick me up. Win or lose. Obviously it goes bad. It sucks. But that adrenaline rush, kind of having the ticket. So I've had a lot of like guys like down the stretch, close calls, like 54 hole leaders, but I'm not cashing. Got to cash, but at the same time, I'm getting those like feels.
We were riding pretty high on Ben Ann for about 27 holes.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Somehow he lost his ability to ball strike over the weekend and started putting well. One of these weeks, it's all going to come together for him. I feel like we've been riding him for 3 years. It just hasn't come together yet.
Never.
Anyway, it was a losing week for me. As I talked about on the Pebble Show when we had the winner, 2 guys inside the top 5 cashing those each ways, that the good times, they come to an end. So when you're going through the bad times, you got to switch it up. Switch up my t-shirt. Haven't worn this t-shirt in like over a year. Put my earrings. I got to switch up the vibes a little bit to get myself going. So I've been a loser, but here's some people that have not been losers, like the winners of the 20 DK bucks from last week. We got Storm Matthias, Metal Mythicist, L. Burgess 18, Patrick Livings, Run Like, Spyaza, and Bomb 27. Those are the winners of 20 DK bucks. That money should appear in your DraftKings account in 1 to 575 days.
The earrings really, there's going to be more comments.
Listen, I mean, you don't get into a draw for 20 DK bucks about talking about my earrings. You only do that if you pick the guy who's going to miss the cut at the highest odds and leave your DraftKings handle after smashing the like button. Or if you want to get into a draw for 20 DK bucks, leave us an iTunes review. 5 stars, DK handle, something nice about the show. Winners announced every single Monday. Some other stuff to pimp here. We got the golf research show, which I released last week. That's still up on the DraftKings YouTube page. I would recommend going to check that out if you're curious about how I research my golf picks. I walk you through my process, and you can add on to that, take away from that, think this is stupid, and say, you know what, I'll do the opposite of this, and maybe I'll be a winner, unlike Pat. The NCAA bracket show came out last night. I think you would enjoy this. There's a lot of just really hilarious Tim moments in it, where Tim like thinks he knows a ton about college basketball and really gives some hard takes despite having watched like 3 games all year.
Even if Tim watched the maximum amount of games he could based on where he is located in the world without paying for a service, he would still know not enough. My point being is, like, in Canada, there's not even enough access to watch this stuff. You get like big TV games sometimes on TSN, and you get like the game on CBS that'll come on before golf.
That's what I've watched so far this year. The bleed over from NCAA into the beginning of golf. And be like, what the hell is this? Like let's cut this off. It's time for golf. Raza's on the show though, and he's the one who watches all this stuff. So we filled out a bracket. It was fun. I recommend you go do that. There's giveaways on that show too. And on Wednesday, Drew Dinkmeyer will be on the show. I did a big life breakdown with Drew a few weeks back. It's called The Grind, a new series that I have as a part of the Pat Mayo experience. I recommend you check that out. But Wednesday, he will be introducing me to the strategy for DraftKings MLB for the season. So if you're someone who wants to get into baseball this year, some of the tools, some of the strategy behind how you can actually become a winner like Drew. He's giving it all away on the show for free. So you can check him out at dailyroto.com at Drew Dinkmeyer. But I would recommend that people go tune into that. Winners from last week. It wasn't just losers like me. Cust hits his one and done based on his new strategy. It's a 2-pronged strategy. A, he's picking betting favorites to win tournaments instead of the worst guy in the field. That has really substantially improved his one and done game. That he's no longer taking Chess and Hadley. He's taking guys like Rory McIlroy to win.
And it sort of proves our point that we still can't follow, is just keep the pedal down.
Just take the guys. Take the good guys.
Take the best players. I'm no longer taking like trying to be sneaky, but I'm also like
Not
thinking I'm being like, yeah, like taking the high tier.
So the other part of his approach, which I really appreciated, because he's really leaning into the curse, despite the fact that he says it doesn't exist. Throughout the course of the week, Tim was on the Cut Sweat show with us, and then he was tweeting about other people who were going to win, who was a new pick to win as it went along. He made all these bold proclamations. He said Jim Furyk was going to win. He said Dustin Johnson was going to win. Jason Day was going to win. John Rahm was going to win. None of the people that he cursed during the tournament were Rory McIlroy. Just like when he didn't say boo about Dustin Johnson at Mexico. It's all a part of his new strategy. It's really paying dividends.
Good for him.
I know. We got some catching up to do in the one and done. That's a big payday. $2.25 million.
That'll be hard to top.
We just need a win. We gotta get on the board somewhere here.
Yeah.
Other people who won. Neil Spagna came first, second, and 57th in the PME Open. That's good for like $7,500, $8,000, something like that. Not a bad week. Joel Harrison won $6,500 until the Fleetwood Eagle on 16. he was up $175,000. That's rough. Because that was an awkward bounce on that Tommy shot too, because it hit the hill in the perfect way, rolled just to the cup for a tap-in eagle. So that sucks. These are viewers of the Pat Mayo Experience and members at fantasynational.com as well. A mix of the two. Moose, like I mentioned, came 10th in the PME Open. Bergerson came 9th from fantasygolfinsider.com. Brett Juza took down 4th in the $4,000 caddy single entry. It's a pretty impressive showing. NJR won 3K with a 5 of 6 lineup. Leishman absolutely sunk him during the week. Can you imagine if you just had someone who made the cut in that spot? You're winning all the money. In fact, you're winning 3K with a 5 of 6. Ben Wiles came second in the $17 single entry, good for $2,500. Charles Laraco won $1,250. Had a ROM and lost out on $2,000 by 0.5 of a point. That sucks. Same things happened to Raza. Raza was on the show last week, gave John Rahm as one of his bigger plays, who he was constructing his lineups around. He ended up winning for the week, but Rahm absolutely sunk him from a gigantic payday down the stretch. But the big winner of the week, viewer of the show, listener to the Pat Mayo Experience, and the Tour Junkies, member at fantasynational.com, the Danimal won $65,000 because he won the 200K 3-max contest and came third in that contest as well. It's an excellent week. Maybe we can get on the right path here. And also, you know what's up at fantasynational.com right now?
You tell me.
The Masters field has been loaded.
Yeah, there's not much that's really going to change there, right?
I mean, guys can sneak in with a win, but that's really about it, yeah.
But we're past that rankings point where it's like... Do you remember last year, guys were withdrawing from tournaments because they didn't want to lose that spot? Remember, Kiridesh was withdrawing from a Euro event because he was... I could be wrong on naming Kiridesh, but I feel like there were a couple of guys who they had way more to lose than to gain by playing in sort of this narrow time frame where the world ranking thing is officially locked into your Masters invite.
I think after this week, it's after match play, for this year. I think that's one of the barometers. I don't know for sure. And then you can get yourself in by, I guess, playing Valero this time around. But a lot of people are actually showing up to Valspar instead of Valero, considering the match play is next week. I just wanted to look very quickly. Rory is down to plus 750 to win the Masters. Dustin's 10, Tiger's 12, JT, Rose are both 14, Brooks and Rahm are 18, Spieth is 20. I know you want none of Spieth, but what is the number?
Not 20.
I mean, I would be in on, if the Masters was starting tomorrow, I would bet Spieth at 20. I'm going to wait because I think that number could create or even
20
more.
Is not even close to what would wet my whistle.
I mean, I don't understand how a guy who contends there every single year, considering Fred Couple still makes the fucking cut at 58. And I don't think it matters how poorly Spieth is playing. You get him to Augusta and just all of a sudden he's Jordan Spieth again.
But at 20-1, not a chance. There's other, so many elite players are playing well. That's not a fair number. And neither is none of the numbers are fair. I'll say that we know that.
So what's a Spieth number?
I'd rather bet a loser.
Okay.
No, I just mean there's a loser in the field that I'd rather bet. It's 40-1.
40-1 would be the Spieth number for you?
I don't even know if I'd bet it, but that sounds fair.
I don't know. I mean, I was clamoring at 11-1 last year.
There's too many elite players playing well. His game, okay. People have sort of been asking me to gloat as he's struggled because maybe even during his success, I sort of said this doesn't feel right. It's like he ate some magic beans because every tournament he won involved him being a magic man. You watch Rory and Dustin, it's just 4 days of nonstop birdie attempts and just hope they make 5 to 10 footers. It's so different. And even some other guys in between them. But to me, those are the two best. And people can tell me I'm wrong. Fair. That's just my opinion. When Jordan's game abandons him, he doesn't have enough strengths to overcome, in my opinion.
I on the whole, agree with you. But I just feel like at Augusta, it's different.
And he's trying to...
Because he's been, last year going into the Masters, his tee to green game was actually quite good. He just couldn't putt. The putting hasn't been the problem for Jordan Spieth so far this year. It's the rest of his game. That has fallen off a cliff. Even his short game isn't very good anymore.
But the things that he wasn't even great. Okay, short game, yeah, the magic wand. When, some crazy, not too much craziness. It didn't seem effortless like some of the other guys. And then like they should win by like 9 strokes, but they miss so many putts, but they have so many close looks all week. Jordan's also of that age where every great player did it. Every great player did it. And the fact that I'm calling him, he has 3 majors, I'll call him great. I say it many times as a joke. He technically has my Grand Slam because the PG, like he has the 3 big ones. You know, it's not like he's missing a US Open. But he will struggle because he lacks the natural talent that like even Tiger and Rory and other just like
even elite, Justin Thomas.
Yeah, like
or Rahm.
Or to overcome those sorts of things. And even those guys, you know, really struggled with it. Rory maybe more so than others.
You're talking about a swing change.
Yeah. Or any type of changes to anything. I don't doubt that he'll work hard at it. I don't doubt that he's a really nice guy. I don't like it doesn't have anything to do with my opinion. The other part is, and I said this on the preview shows and in the early shows, is he's not just not winning. His world ranking is going to crater, Pat. It's going to crater because unlike when like Phil went through his struggles and winless droughts or other great players, there were still like so many, you know, T4s or, you know, T8s or so many quality finishes that could like keep it above board as he was losing points from his successful years and wins. Because we're almost at the point where every win he's had is no longer going to be considered in his world ranking. And when he had those great showings early in the season for 2 days and then he cratered, I mean, it sucks. And you play to win, but to hold some of those positions and not win would be doing him so much for his world ranking.
But it's also helping us with the odds for him at the Masters.
But it's not helping because it's only 20. And the best players in the world look fantastic.
Sure, but this happens every year as we go to the lead into the Masters. And all these great players look fantastic,
yes, no.
and then they don't win.
Yes, someone pointed out something great, or, you know, whatever, great, not irrelevant. A fact that guys are not winning. The lead-up win to the Masters doesn't mean anything. Because in the last handful of years...
I think last year was the first year with Reed who didn't have a win on the card for 20.
Did Sergio?
Yeah, Sergio had won in
Europe.
He won the one that
Willett won. Fine, but I'm even talking. But maybe it was like a PGA thing, thinking like it's important to get like these wins in Florida and then it leads to the Masters. And I'm not, you know, Rory's its own separate discussion. I almost feel unfortunate for him. Not unfortunately, won $2 million yesterday, but now he's put himself in a position where the hype is almost bigger than it was when it was his first try at the Grand Slam. And he's acknowledged he's gotten more comfortable. He's not comfortable yet fully with the pressure. He's just more comfortable in knowing the pressure exists, if that makes any sense.
Sure. And I think this is the first time he's going to enter the Masters as the favorite too. Usually he's like the second favorite or the fourth favorite.
Yeah, maybe the first.
Spieth, Tiger, and Dustin have been playing so well.
That's what I mean. The first time after he won Valhalla, and then it was the wraparound, and it was our first April since his first Triple Crown. Grand Slam. Remember it well because there was someone in the fantasy office that was like loved him. Can't remember his name.
Was it Drew? Because he was winning after one hole, and he was like, "Oh, Rory's definitely going to
win."
win.
It was Eston. Eston.
Okay.
You don't remember. I think I got that name right.
Yeah, I remember Eston.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, because we were just deeply talking about it because he's like a Rory super fan. And I remember thinking, you know, whatever. So what, we're being try 4 now, though?
4 or 5, yeah.
4 or 5. And I think the pressure is as big as it was from the start. But now what?
Here are some other names here. Ricky's 22. Bryson's 25.
That one has me.
He's come back a little bit to the pack. Day is 25. Fleetwood's 28. 33 for Molinari, Xander, Phil, Reed, Sergio, both at 35. Bubba, Casey, Hideki at 40.
It was Rahm. I missed.
Rahm was 18. Coming off a good week.
I know. I need more.
I would need more too on Rahm, although he's played well at the Masters.
Oh, yeah, I had him last year.
The only 2 numbers still that I have in is Poulter at 80, which did not go great. It didn't really inspire a whole lot of confidence the weekend with Poulter. And Siwoo I have at 150. Those are still the only 2 that I've bid on so far. Although Snedeker at 100 starting to look kind of spicy.
I have one that'll make people vomit in their mouth because it was an ugly week.
I don't think that Schneider-Jans is in the Masters. I'm not going to lie to you.
Schneider-Jans had a good week, so that wouldn't make people vomit in their mouth. But this guy screwed a lot of people. Casey-esque. What's Cantley?
can't lay
Still at
is
66? Or is he bumped up to like an 80 by now?
He's at 60. Why do you think he's going to win the Masters?
I just think he has the game. But that doesn't feel strong enough.
What about Bubba at 40?
See, that seems like a nice one. Like you almost want to bite on that, like you were happy to bite on Bubba at Phoenix. Yet he hasn't won Phoenix twice. It just seemed like that's a number.
He's putting better too.
And I don't like betting when Bubba gets, because Bubba's, can run hot and cold. But I don't like betting Bubba when he's like in that 20 range sometimes. But I can stomach him at a course like that in the 40s. For sure, actually.
Well, this week could go a long way to maybe decreasing those odds because this just doesn't seem like a course. He's in the field at Valspar, and he's come third here before. That was like 10 years ago. But just the way that his current game is, I don't love Bubba this week. Not to say that he can't play well. He's Bubba Watson. He's one of the better players in the field. But it's a situation where if he misses the cut here and doesn't, have a strong repeat performance at the match play, that number might get bumped down to 45 or 50 by the time Augusta actually comes around. Or if he has a strong showing in one of them, it gets bumped up to 20 because they're just waiting any sort of life out of Bubba Watson, and those odds will get cut in half.
Why would I want to bet Jordan Spieth at 20 when I could bet Bubba Watson at 40?
You could bet them both. That could be your card right there. I'm just saying, fading Jordan Spieth at the Masters, not a great idea.
I'm not, or even though I said stuff earlier, I'm afraid to start nailing in any coffins because he has this Masters thing and he'll always bring it back in my face. Not to mention Pebble is a very Jordan friendly course also historically. Even this year was one of those weeks where he looked like he could win it when he went to bed on Friday night and maybe you thought he was and he just, completely melted down. So yeah, I'm afraid to really, start digging the hole. Well, no, the hole might be digged, but I'm afraid to start filling it in.
Well, if you want to get your research started on the Masters, the field is loaded at fantasynational.com right now, so become a member. Check out that video where I walk you through my process of going through everything. Players, very quickly. Looks like Rory can close. Shocker. I don't understand how that was a narrative. I don't feel like we were really talking about that much, but people are really hammering him for not closing tournaments.
Okay,
it's a guy with 4 majors. Fuck off.
I hope, for the sake of it, that a lot of people didn't see it as a real thing. I, though, only took it from a fascination standpoint. I found his ability to go out in all those final groups and not close, and there's a lot of people that he lost to that he's better than.
Like when he lost to JB Holmes?
Sure, or Hautong. Or if, even the one that he won where he beat Ryan Moore at Eastlake in a 3-hole playoff. Because I remember watching the Chargers and that at the same time.
I think it just kind of speaks to the fact that it's fucking hard to win on the PGA Tour.
Absolutely. But for me, my interest was never for a moment was because I literally went to this weekend saying Rory's going to win. Walked off the air doing our cut sweats. He had that great finish. I'm only afraid of one guy at this moment. And that was before, someone shot a 60 whatever and it gets to Sunday. But for me, the Rory thing was strictly a fascination. I was fascinated that a generational player had that. That's where it was to me. And even Ben did a lot of great articles on it, Coley. But it was never, in my opinion, I never for once took that as Ben is picking on Rory. It's just as a golf fan, this is a generational player, and that's incredibly fascinating.
Well, the funny thing about it is when you kind of look at it on the whole, the only reason this comes to light is because Rory's playing so well. It's because he's in these final groups week after week after week. If he was just missing the cut or coming T45, people wouldn't have any questions about whether he could close or not. But the fact that he's been so good, it then becomes a question. It's really bizarre when you start to think about it that way.
Yeah, and as you said, winning is hard and incredibly impressive. And his new mentality of just like this, just stay patient. Because I literally get looks all week. And he took criticism even on Sunday, I think it was 16, where he hit it in the water with the low cut and it rolled all the way through the back. But I thought that was a genius play because he obviously knew the course and that it was a 30-foot putt for after the drop to get up and down for par. Where that hole was, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I thought the risk reward there made total sense. Wish he could hit who doesn't want to hit a 200-yard stinger. Yeah, just remarkable. And even going in the water on 4 and just patience.
Well, he didn't.
And having
the thing was, it was a nice rebound for him after a really rocky start to the round on Sunday. But it's not like he went out and won the tournament. He just was the guy who played well enough not to lose.
Yeah, and
everyone else imploded around him.
And the other guys were just too far back.
Yeah,
Furyk
everyone who
and
made the
Pepperell
chase
and
started
they
too
were
far
all
back.
Too far back.
But wrong. Fleetwood, man. I'm telling you, man, he's British Ricky. I'm starting to worry about, as someone who loves to back Fleetwood at majors. Ugh.
You know, I was real disappointed.
But again, he's going to be one of these guys that if he's in the mix every single week, eventually he's just going to win.
To me, his irons abandoned him. Because everyone missed putts. Everyone. Like
DJ and Day missed the most putts on
but I'm
Sunday.
saying a lot of those guys, even Rory, like missed, like everyone like fighting for it missed putts. I watched Answer miss a ton of putts. Missed Harman every time he was hitting great shots. Missed putts. Furyk missed putts. For me, with Tommy, the issue was the irons on the weekend, Pat. To me, they abandoned him. Yes, he didn't hit many putts, but they left him scrambling and they didn't create enough opportunities.
Yeah, he wasn't putting for birdie and tapping in for par. He was putting for par and tapping in for
and there were a
bogey.
couple early in the round that I wish he had made. I know on 8 and even earlier, maybe on 6, where he had like 12, 14-foot birdie putts and he didn't make them. But I expect his irons to give him 3, 4, 5 more of those opportunities around. That didn't happen.
Yeah, for the week, he was only 0.8 strokes gained positive. He was 7.3 off the tee. He was the best guy in the field off the tee.
He
couldn't hit his irons.
He was never in these horrible spots needing to make these pars from off the tee. It was always he was now having to scramble for par when he was in these quality spots. So yes, again, his irons abandoned him. And I didn't even look at the stat, but I knew it. I just knew it.
DJ was the king of irons last week.
Oh, he
the guy couldn't buy a putt on Sunday. See, and it doesn't surprise me when Dustin Johnson starts missing short putts because I've seen him do it enough times throughout the course of his career. Now he's corrected most of that over the past 3-4 seasons, that he's become one of the better putters on tour, at least one of the more consistent putters on these short putts. When Day starts missing like 4-foot putts, it's like, what is going on? Yeah. Because I thought he was going to be the guy, because he started at 12 or 11, that if Day just goes out and has like a normal round, he could definitely win this. But he didn't have a normal day round. He couldn't scramble, for one thing. His up and down game was bad. And then all of a sudden he couldn't make putts anymore. And it's just, you could even see him. I think he tapped in or made like a 5-footer on 9 for birdie. And he was just like, yeah.
Might have even been later.
Like it's so bizarre to see him miss these sort of putts. Like he was almost in Spieth territory. And we see Day go through these stretches. And we saw it at Torrey. Like anytime that he starts to contend that, 14 feet for par, this is an auto make for Jason Day. Like how Spieth used to be. So to see him miss these short ones is just, it's strange. Watch him at match play, by the way, if he ends up playing and doesn't take the time off before the Masters. Plays well at these Pete Dye courses. So he's someone interesting. Anyone else going to show you anything? Snedeker showed me some guts.
Yeah. I got to talk about Rahm.
Okay.
I'm an apologist for the guy. I picked him to win Player of the Year. I think I'm probably a year, maybe too early there. I will again just chalk it up to an embarrassing but a learning experience. I think we are very hard on these guys, and he deserves to be criticized.
People are extra hard on Rahm.
But
people don't like Rahm.
Well, I think people are too hard on all these guys. To think you know anything, you're clueless. He's 24 years old. He's already acknowledged what his strengths and weaknesses are, and he's open and honest about it, and he admits it's something he has to work on. It's not like he acknowledges that, like he ignores it or thinks he knows more. He agrees, and what happened yesterday, it will be another learning experience. Just like we've seen in the last year, his maturity on the course, in my opinion, has grown. We don't see as many flare-ups or blow-ups. He is going to win everything. He's going to be the number 1 player in the world. And I'm not talking about for one summer. He's that good. To even draw any conclusions about these guys literally before they're 30, to me, is unfair. About like what they can and can't accomplish. Now, because Tiger's its own thing, but you had like Rory and Jordan come out and win like out of nowhere. The expectations on what everyone should be because you're like super great. It has changed. It's changed.
Well, how long did it take Dustin to win a major? 12 years?
It's sort of my point. And some guys, there's just a different trajectory. Ricky, the scary thing is, as much as I love the guy, he has turned 30. So some of the concerns and nervousness, even though
he's now breaching in at this point for like his profitability as he moves forward, if he continues to play like he does now and have one of those Sergio/Phil wins when he's like 33, wins the Masters or wins the US Open, then everyone's like, hey, Ricky's great.
Yeah.
And then everyone will just think he's awesome for the rest of his life. But he's
30.
What if he turns into Lee Westwood?
It's that, like, we are now in the position where, to me, this is such a crucial calendar year. If it doesn't happen for him in this calendar year, I think all those questions are probably in his head, but they start to grow at a higher rate every year because you've crossed 30.
Instead of comparing him to Lee Westwood, because maybe that's unfair, do you know who he could actually be based on the amount of wins that he has? And
Colin Montgomery? Who?
Matt Kuchar. Won the Players, has all these top 10s, no majors. And the only reason I bring up Kuchar is because he was 4th in the field in approach this week. He
missed a lot of putts.
He was near a lot of putts. -7 strokes gained putting.
Crazy.
I think I might have to bet him at the Masters. Think this might be his shot.
What's his number? Because we talked about him.
He's 50 or 60.
You know, we did that preview show, and to me, he was like...
he's 50 right now.
Yeah.
And he plays well at Augusta every single year. Like, if there's a shot that he ever has of winning this feels like
and
I bet
they went years. I went years just betting him at the Masters, the Georgia Tech guy. And then there was the years where I didn't bet him. I'm like, if he wins, you'll find me in the hanging in the shower.
Yeah, in terms of just overall ball striking last week, he was 4th in approach. And he gained 2.5 off the tee, so he was 11.8 in terms of strokes gained tee to green. That was 2nd in the field behind Rory. It was Rory, Kuchar, Dustin, Keegan, Snedeker, your top 5.
Okay.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So there. Rahm is going to win everything. Everyone needs to sort of chill.
Furyk? Furyk going to win everything?
It was embarrassing. I don't know what he was really... He made the best shot of the tournament nobody saw. Still haven't. Was Rahm on 11 on Saturday, hit it to 3.5 feet. They showed him make the eagle putt, but I didn't get to see that shot. And because he just probably felt that hole was his bitch and he could do whatever he wanted. But you look at the angle, I don't know what he thought he could do there, man.
It's like a Tiger Phil situation, though. Like, Phil hits these shots, and you're like, Phil, what the fuck are you doing? And then all of a sudden it's 3 feet from the cup. You're like, oh, I guess he committed to the shot and it worked.
Yeah.
Like, what if the shot works?
Amazing.
It
right?
looks like it had no chance of ever working, but what if it works?
Again, I believe that highly in the player. I think I'm a year and a half early in saying he would win Player of the Year. He does need a lot to grow from because he's never really been. He's had 2 good Masters, but in big tournaments, he's never really like been in the fire.
True. Maybe he's a chaser. Like
his Tory win
when he won at Tory
was a
back.
chase. He'll win these big tournaments, even if what he did on Saturday happens on a Sunday.
Yeah, he'll win.
He'll win that tournament, and that will happen for him because he's that freaking good.
It's almost like Fleetwood. I envision the same thing with Fleetwood. That his win will be like
He almost did it at the US Open.
But his win will be like Molinari's win was 2 weeks ago, where he's like 6 back and just storms the board.
Yeah, that stupid round happens on the Sunday instead of earlier.
Without looking, what do you think Rory's putting totals were for the week?
Not great. Half a stroke.
0.7 of a stroke putting. Positive. Sometimes that's all you need.
Well, he made what on the field? He's making like 3 strokes a day.
Tee to green.
Yeah.
He's just unconscious when it comes down to it. Him and Dustin were all week. So anyone else pop out from you that you think that maybe you see some signs of life? Like, I really did like what I saw from Snedeker. I thought he held tough all week at a course where he had not played well in recent past. Kind of leads me to him this week. I haven't bet on him yet, but he's someone to look at. Ollie's magnet for the water didn't happen until very late on Sunday, and then it finally happened. He is playing better, though. You betting him this week?
We'll see.
Nick
decided.
Taylor, 3rd in approach for the week. Kenya Jan, Nick Taylor. Finau do anything for you? Finau was all putting last week, by the way.
He's not here.
No, he's not. But I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm talking
sure.
About
I'm always into Finau.
Brian Harman shows signs of life for the first time in like 18 months. I don't know how people were talking about like, oh yeah, Brian Harman. Like, why weren't you picking Brian Harman? It's like, how could you end up? I got the case for Furyk. I used Furyk in a couple of lineups. Like, he had been playing well coming in. I don't understand what the case could have been for Brian Harman coming into this week. And he played well. It's golf. This happens. But
Furyk walking his shot on 18, like what he had was 80% through the motion. It was one of the sickest things of the weekend. That and the Tiger Kevin Na.
That was pretty awesome. It sucks when Tiger does anything badly, especially because it was the first time all year that I had bet on him, that you have to see it 500,000 times.
I would change the channel every time they showed the Friday 17th hole. Also, Tiger the champ. Did you see that tweet that went viral of the guy with his mugshot?
No.
Oh, a guy was wearing his mugshot t-shirt. Like, I guess he paid, went to the mall and and Tiger like saw it coming through the tunnel and like he smiled.
That's
like
good.
chuckled. He liked it. He smiled. So it's like just a different. Oh my God, love 3.0.
The thing with him and Na was pretty good.
People call him 2.0. To me, there's 3.0 because to me, 2.0 was that brief player that existed that won Player of the Year but didn't win a
2013
major.
Tiger
That came back after the injuries. No, because then there was the fusion, but came back. Sorry, not the injuries. That came back after the scandal. There was a brief light of a new guy. And then that guy put everything into being that guy that he broke his neck or his spot, whatever, his back. Then we had to,
Had to wait 3 years to see him come back.
Yeah.
Now he's back. He's not as good as he was.
No, come on.
You think Tiger is as good as he once was?
Who is?
No one.
Who
but
is?
That also goes a lot to this Rory thing too. It's like Tiger set such a bad precedent for a lot of these guys that he just won every single tournament. That everyone just thinks that, hey, if Rory's the best player in the world, he should win every single tournament. But it never works that way. Like, just look at Nicklaus and the amount of second place finishes that he has in his career. It's crazy. Let's talk Valspar. Valspar. This is, I was thinking about it today, my second favorite course on tour.
After Heritage?
After Harbour Town, yeah. And they're both similar style courses. They're both super short. Both have tiny greens. They can both be affected by the wind. Less so with this one. It's a par 71. There are 5 par 3s on this course, which is super strange. And it still plays over 7,300 yards, which you don't see very often. So it's a longer course than people think. And it's very difficult. It played easy 2 years ago, and it was 18th of 51 on tour in terms of difficulty. A lot's going to be made about the Snake Pit, the closing 3 holes, which are extremely difficult. Number 16, one of the hardest holes on tour overall. I believe is inside the top 10 in difficulty, and that's including the majors. But the sneaky thing here is the par 5s. 2 of these par 5s are among the top 5 on tour in lowest green regulation rate. So it's not just like your step, like you can eagle some of these par 5s. I think there was 21 eagles on the par 5s between the 4 of them last season. But like some of these par 5s are bogey holes. They are not gimme birdies by any means. And it's just a really weird situation. Like looking back, I was using the Fantasy National, like, hey, where do players gain their strokes? It's usually they gain the most on par 5s, par 4s are really close, and par 3s are down the list when you look at like an overall collection of like top 20 or top 10 finishers. Par 4s don't mean as much here. Par 3 scoring is actually something to really dig into. When Hadwin won 2 years ago, he was at the very top of that 200 to 225 range. So it's just a hard course. You want guys that bogey avoidance and scrambling are 2 really weird stats because I think that they hinge so much on putting that if you start including them, then you have to take that. All of the stats include putting. Like par 4 scoring includes putting because you have to make those putts on your 3rd shot in order to score well on the par 4s. But when you think about bogey avoidance, you might be someone who puts it to 10 feet and just makes the 10-foot putt. That doesn't mean you're necessarily great at scrambling. It means you're making a lot of putts. Bogey avoidance comes in the same way too. So realistically, I'm just looking for guys that are lights out with their irons. The winners at this tournament, you can look at top 5, top 10, and the gaps get like really small and narrow. But the difference between strokes gained approach and strokes gained off the tee on just winners from this event over the past 6 years, strokes gained approach has played into their win 14 times more than strokes gained off the tee. That's insane. Like that's something you're just not going to see. It's usually like a 2.5 to 1 type measure, but 14 to 1 is just ludicrous. Maybe it's just a bizarre outlier, but I thought it was something worth exploring. So I really went big on guys who are good at their approaches this week, more so than usual, because it's usually like the key stat, but it is the overall stat of the week. The field, pretty good though. Were you surprised to see who's in this field?
Yeah, it's still stronger than I want it. I like the fields that just have not too many guys, and
This field is arguably stronger than the Honda field was.
someone even pointed out it's not that much stronger than it was in the past, but to my eyeballs, it's way stronger.
Well, last year it got a significant bump when Tiger played.
But Tiger, but I'm even talking about mathematical world rankings. But when Tiger played it last year, he wasn't
maybe it's a different type of player that we're seeing here, because normally it's like Spieth, Reed, Ryan Moore, Brennan Grace. Sergio played it last year, but just historically, it's like that type of not big bomber player. But we got, just look at the top of the odds board right now. You got Dustin Johnson, 5.5 to 1. John Rahm, 11 to 1. Jason Day, 11 to 1. Sergio, 16. Webb, 20. Casey and Reed, both at 22. Woodland, former winner here, is 25 to 1. Furyk, 33. Stenson, 35. Louis, 40. Like Keegan Bradley, 40. Lucas Glover, 40. It's a pretty good field.
Very
for
good
something
field.
that I didn't expect names to show up to, especially with the match play next week.
I thought the favorite would be like Sergio, because I'm surprised 3 guys are here.
Can you bet any of those 3 guys here? I think this course is too hard and has too many weird outlier winners in the past that you want to tackle at the top of the
Yeah, I got zero interest. And if it bites me in the ass,
bites
it
you.
bites you. But I kind of felt the same about last week and not wanting to go to the top. And yes, Rory won, but that doesn't mean that you were wrong in saying the way to actually hit a betting ticket is to sort of play, breakthroughs and crafty grinders. I mean, historically, guys don't add to their major collection.
I mean,
at the
Furyk
players.
almost did it.
So that doesn't mean that was wrong just because the best player or, a top 3 player in the world ended up winning. DJ's unbettable, but I'm so impressed by this player that he's now going to places that don't seem like DJ success tracks and playing fantastic. All those jokes about, all the calculations that would be needed for Mexico and being in the right spots and, the definition that Phil, sort of gave it. And Dustin's gone there and won 2 of the 3 times.
Yeah, as it turns out, if you can just drive every green, it's not that big of a deal.
Sure. Or even like Sawgrass, where we were last week, a place he historically hasn't played well. It sort of doesn't give an advantage to any specific type of game, sort of needs the full bag. He goes there and he plays lights out. Outside of Kin hit 6-footers, 3-footers, embarrassing.
Forgot to mention Rose, who really stormed back over the final 3 rounds.
Hard guy to miss. You think he's a NASCAR.
Listen, man, the guy cashed in. He's in every commercial.
The guy is literally, nobody rocks as much going on as him. It's not even, oh my God. It doesn't even look near, his Morgan Stanley hat does not look nearly as cool as Phil's KPMG hat. It looks obnoxious, and it was done in a convenience store sewing machine. Okay? And then he's got his Homa patch on one side for his new clubs, and then something else on the other. And his shirt is 3 billboards. It's obnoxious. Give me the clean Nike guys any day of the week.
Okay.
Any day of the week.
Will you bet Dustin, Rahm, or...
Okay, sorry. What's
Day?
important? I just want to still gloat about how this new Dustin that just goes to these tracks, and when you're as good as he is, he can play any game. Can't bet him. I don't want to bet the other guys either. I just don't.
Out of those 3...
Day playing back to back sort of is kind of humor, everything. Again, we'll go to that wall with that 40 to 1. It was there. It was there.
It really had a live chance of winning.
I didn't each way it, so I'm kind of happy he didn't really play into the or how things would have came out.
We almost got Hideki to the each way by the end of it.
I don't even think I each weighed that because that was what
40.
No, I didn't.
Well, it didn't win, so it's probably she saved herself some money.
The thing is, I just can't. I don't want to. If I get burned, I get burned. I'm not touching anyone.
I'm with you when it comes to that. So that leaves us with Sergio as the next guy, who, I released my custom stat rankings from Fantasy National. He rated out number 1 over the past 12 rounds, 24 rounds. He was top 10 here last year. He's playing like Sergio does. The ball striking is immaculate. Guy can't putt. But Paul
16 to
Casey.
1?
But I mean, I just described Paul Casey, who won here last year.
Paul Casey.
And Sergio was in the mix to win this last year.
Yes, and winning last year. I want to say Charles too. Didn't they both sort of have storming wins?
I don't think Charles was as far back as Casey. But the thing with Casey's win last year is who he was behind. Corey Connors was actually the leader.
Tiger and Reed.
It was Tiger, Reed, Snedeker, and Sergio were all ahead of him.
I had the Reed monies that day. 3-putt at 18. Even though it was an awkward...
Went up the hill and came down the hill.
It was an awkward... yeah, he got an awkward break with a shot into the 18th green, and it sort of left him an awkward angle putt that felt really hard to have a great lag, but really left that one short. No, I don't think at 20 to 1 I'd want anybody.
Okay, so
you?
No, I mean I'm considering Sergio, but I don't think that's how I want to play my card this week. So you got Webb, Reed, Casey, Woodland as the only other players sub 30 to 1. I mean,
Reed was quite an enigma.
I don't know how he was. I actually the only two like in play bets that I made, I bet on him and Damon going into the round on Sunday.
Well,
just hoping to get like lucky with what Furyk did. Furyk was obviously the play, but one of these guys can go out and have one of these rounds. Reed was trending up every day with the approaches. He was in the negatives, then slightly positive, then massively positive. Then he went off the rails.
He's kind of everywhere. I mean, you're never. I'm never shocked if it like works for 4 days because I believe that much in him. And I love betting him, even though I don't see myself betting him this week because if he does get into the mix late, like if he catches the taste of McCain Fruit Punch, I trust him as much as anybody. I trust because he has
absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I would trust him if he got paired with a 4-stroke lead versus one of those like top 4 guys.
He has He has second place finishes here 2 of the past 4 years. He lost in that playoff to Spieth. He should have been in the playoff with Casey last year.
It just seems like his game is so hit and miss right now.
I feel like that's always him though.
Yes,
I could consider him like I think of these 4 guys, he's my favorite.
I would agree because just based on if they got to Sunday in a good position, I actually would trust them the most that day.
You don't trust Webb or Gary or Paul Casey?
I love Gary, but I can't do this at 25. I love him though.
He was bad with his irons last week. Gained a bunch around the greens and gained a bunch off the tee.
This is a course that I think is perfect for him.
He's won
sometimes
here
I
before.
call him the American Stenson with how he can like club down and be in fantastic positions. So I'm a huge fan. Did he miss his window to win this year?
I don't think
He got a win. Xander stole Tournament of Champions.
Sure, but he didn't get an official win.
Yeah.
He got a moral victory. He got the Chris Jericho victory. He won after the match was over. Gary came in and hit him with a steel chair and then put up his hand and claimed victory, but he didn't get the prize money for it. But I think that he's just been playing so consistently all year long that he deserves to be this number. He has a legitimate shot at winning. It's a course where he's won before, so that's baked into his odds as well. And people like to bet on Gary Woodland. People like Gary Woodland. People really like Gary Woodland.
If there was a stock, I would buy it.
Well, not at this price because you could buy it at 25 to 1.
No,
right
but
now.
even I'm such a fan of this guy.
This was the week 2 years ago. I actually have Ryan Baroff on the show tomorrow. I guess we're having like a Golflandia PME exchange program. You've been on Wiley's show, Golflandia, the past 2 weeks, breaking stuff down. This is the first week 2 years ago. The Hadwin win was when I first started really corresponding with Wiley. He gave me SSP to win the Hero Indian Open that week. So I hit Herman first round leader, SSP 80 to 1, and Hadwin to win at 100 to 1. It basically, I think it paid for more than the entire year's worth of bets. So big shouts to Wiley on that one. So
Love Wiley.
I got to have Baroff on.
He
next
also-
week. But Baroff last year, he had a Matt Wallace, Patrick Reed double because I think that Wiley had a Hadwin SSP double that week, which would have paid like tens of thousands of dollars. But Baroff had Patrick Reed, Matt Wallace double last year. That was a 5-figure payday, and Reed came second because he duffed a putt on 18. So we'll get his experience with that on the show tomorrow.
I don't know, both Gurus and Jesus Team Forces with Drew Matthews.
Yeah.
And they hit this Guido Catrice in Europe. Never heard of this guy.
I never heard of this guy either. Is he the guy who was great on like the Alps tour?
I don't know.
That's where Matt Wallace came from.
Actually, his name's not Catrice. But that's just my own high school thing from Guido. Whatever, this Guido.
So we're not...
Never heard of him.
One and done wise, Casey's interesting because no one's going to use him after last week. That'd be my only real take on Casey because he just burned so many DraftKings lineups and outright bets.
I do... if I did play this range, it would only be Gary or Patrick. I don't care for Casey or Simpson. Although Casey,
I think my two favorites from this range are Reed and Garcia, but I don't think I'm going to end up pulling the trigger on them. But I will have my cheat sheet out on Wednesday afternoon, facebook.com/thepme, and see where I end up. Maybe I do end up with Reed on the card. Maybe. Depends on where I go otherwise. My card starts in this next range.
There's not names I like, so I probably could have room, but we'll see. Next range. Go.
Do you wait until I go to list the names to cut me off? Because I'm trying to cue Paul to put up the graphic. You do it every range we get to.
Get used to it. I'm joking. I didn't mean that. I walked that back.
Get used to it.
I walked
I'm
that
just
back.
trying to have a clean production.
I walked that back immediately.
Next range. Now I have to put in the time code. Good God. Jim Furyk, 33-1. Great course history. Former winner at this event. Stenson, 35. Louis, Keegan, Glover at 40. Cabrera, Bayo, Kisner, and Kokrak at 45. Ryan Moore. Hatton, who's a late add to the field after Fleetwood withdrew. Answer, Snedeker, Charles, Knox, Zach Johnson. Only one of these guys has my money so far. And you mentioned that Gary Woodland can be like the American Stenson. He's 25-1. Why not take the real Stenson? At 35-1, missed the cut at this tournament last year, hasn't been really showcasing the irons a little bit more since he came back from that trifecta of missed cuts overseas in the Middle East. He's been bad off the tee, but as I talked about, winners of this course don't need to be great off the tee. It's his distance that's been killing him since Mexico. It hasn't been the accuracy. The accuracy is fine. He's gaining strokes with his driver off the tee or his 3-wood off the tee. This is not a course where you can just go out and bomb it left and right. It's tree lined. You need to be in the middle of the fairway. I think we're getting a deal on Henrik Stenson. I'm not saying he's going to win, but at this time last year, he would have been 14-1 to win this tournament.
For years. This tournament really bled into everything Stenson was known for. Like his skill set was Valspar. I guarantee for years he was like the popular one and done player here. All those sorts of things.
Before missing the cut last year, he was 7th, 11th, 4th the 3 previous years. And we even saw a bit of course history rear its ugly head at API. He finished like 17th there.
I could get behind that. I've got one bet. It's 150-1. We got a long time to get there. I could get behind Stenson.
I'm in. I'm already in at 35-1. That was my first look.
It's not like an injury thing, but it sort of feels like the day bet at 40 last week. Like you're sort of
What's the injury with Stenson?
No, like his day was an injury. That's why he was 40. But it kind of just feels like on this course, like you want to give me him at that number.
Right now, Furyk is 33 and Stenson's 35. Like, come on. And listen, Furyk could win. This is a course where Furyk could win. It's a short course, played well here in the past, former winner, good course history, but give me a break. I'll take Stenson with the extra 2 in odds over Jim Furyk winning.
Stenson is interesting. Did Hatton play here last year?
I don't believe so. I believe he played API and that was it. Let me take a look for Hatton. I don't even know what he did at the player. He missed the cut. He was terrible at the players. But it's the players. And the stats get really skewed at the players because you put a ball into the water. It really just kind of screws up everything you have going on.
I will, and I guess I could say this every week.
Valspar, no, he's never played.
When it comes to someone I'd want to back, and I haven't decided if I want to back Hadwin, but I will bring it up because there's someone else I'm strongly considering backing, is I can very easily write off the bad players week.
Oh, as can I.
Like you can just get into a hornet's nest there and feel like the world's against you, and it just like it melts you. That place, I mean, granted, you can score low there if you make the bounces and things sort of go your way, but you can get negative luck sacked and just like pack it in. Or you can be actual shit.
Look at the amount of red on this sheet for Adam Hadwin. The guy has not been good.
It's unfortunate because this is a course you'd really like to bet him at.
Of course.
But how about, let me run this one by you.
Okay. Louis.
No. But if you took one more guess, you might get it.
Grace.
No.
Charles.
No, in the rain. Okay.
I thought we were just going with South Africans.
No. I'll give you one more. Although answer at 55 could be
Answer withdrew.
Oh.
He pulled out. I'm going to guess Rafa Cabrera.
Great guess.
I'd rather Keegan. This is the site of him going full Keegan, too.
Par 3 scoring. This was almost like Rafa's number last week because everyone was so high on Rafa after API.
Rafa, interestingly enough, has been better with the longer irons this year than the wedges, which he's been known for in the past. I find that just uber surprising.
From an odds perspective, like I see Woodland, who was 66 last week, go to 25, and Rafa like stays where he was.
I can see it. Listen, Rafa's an excellent player.
And par 3 scoring is one of his best assets. There's that extra couple here. This is something I could be very interested in, Pat.
The one thing that really stuck out to me from API with Rafa is that every time he didn't do the bunker, he went full cantlay.
Oh, it was horrible.
And like, you need to be able to scrounge for par here. That's why Reed always plays so well here.
Yeah. That's
because when things get off the rails a little bit, Reed can save himself from that big number.
Kisner? We're getting some life. He could be a form guy. We're seeing life. He does have that, like, sort of make it from anywhere.
So here's the thing. I'm on Stenson. I have no one else on my card. Keegan, mainly for the ball striking. I'm considering. I don't love that number, though. That just might be a DraftKings thing.
You got to fight for par, right?
Snedeker.
I know. We're
coming off a hot week. He's 55 to 1.
He can fight for par.
He can fight for par. The other guy that I took was Sungjae. Sungjae at 60. I'm not too concerned that he had an ace and then he melted down and put the ball into the water on 17 and missed the cut. These are the types of courses. Like I had him.
I'll think about Sungjae. I'm not thinking about Keegan. I will just. That's not part of my brand. I know math is supposed to take brands out of it.
Don't even think about math.
With him,
let me throw out this one trend to you. In his past 29 starts,
he's killing it.
Keegan has made 28 cuts. That's insane, and he has a win.
Okay, but that's for Tuesday.
But even so, he's putting himself in these positions to contend. And if we just say the same thing about Rory, obviously Keegan's not Rory, but you're getting Rory at 8 to 1 and you're getting Keegan at 40, 45 to 1. Maybe the one week he putted, he won, and he won a FedEx Cup event.
Big. It was big.
And it's not like the ball striking has gotten significantly worse.
Striking
he's one of the few guys in this field that not only hits it long, but hits it fucking straight down the middle.
The only times I'll ever bet Keegan Bradley is when like you have to like strongly advise me to bet Keegan Bradley.
I'm not there with it.
I can't come to a Keegan Emmer Smith bet on my own.
Did we just discount Webb for no reason?
You just
not feeling it.
Listen, he
ended up placing well this week.
Yeah.
Decent. I mean, he was never once in contention to win the Players, but a decent defense. He came top 20. Who is in this range? I got Stenson. I got Im. That's it. I'm looking at Grace. I'm looking at Snedeker, and I'm looking at Russell Knox. Those are the three.
You might have just named a fourth or half my card.
Okay, so who are the other guys?
I'm just because Knox seems really intriguing. Snedeker seems intriguing. And Grace, I don't know what to make it. Grace, I got to look into more. I thought you would be way higher on Grace today.
He really let me down on the weekend. Him and Keimer both really let me down. After sneaking, Grace got himself through to the weekend and then just absolutely melted on Sunday.
But that's what
he was top 10 here last year too.
That's what my card's gonna be. What? I think like a Rafa, Snedeker.
I'll do Snedeker. I'm in on Snedeker. I got you on Snedeker. Knox really stands out. He's been striking the ball very well.
Yeah.
Over the past 24 rounds, the leaders in par 4s, 400 to 450 yards, Kokrak, Reed, Harris English, Webb Simpson, TPJ, Poston, Streelman, Furyk, Graham McDowell, Dustin, Shez, and a couple guys
the books are reading people's models because they don't give you a break on Kokrak.
Kokrak has just been playing
I know,
well.
But
if you just looked at recent results, Kokrak would be jumping off the top of
They
lists.
put him around names in the prices that are just, and I'm not knocking Kokrak. I'm just saying like there's a public perception to other people being popular or people liking them. I don't know. They must see Kokrak action. Like they must know they're going to take Kokrak action for good reason. He's been incredibly consistent. But
he's made every cut since last year's British Open, and he's gained at least 3.5 strokes on approach in each of his past 6 tournaments.
Special.
And you got 18th. His finishes this year, 18th, 20th, 20th, 37th, 9th, 10th, 47th. Okay. He's been good for Jason Kokrak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was on Snedeker here last year, and he gas canned on Sunday. He was playing with Tiger. He was like a stroke off the lead going into Sunday. I think he came T33. He was not a great performance from old Sneds. But Grace, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm not feeling super inspired by this field. Maybe Ryan Moore. You going back to Glover? Like, would you rather bet Glover at 40 or Keegan at 40?
Neither.
If forced to choose. I'd rather bet
Keegan.
I'll take the major.
Keegan,
They're both
yeah.
major champions, but I'll take Keegan.
I've
Good.
seen,
And a lot of Glover's success recently was predicated on the fact that he started to putt. People started talking about Glover in the same way that they talked about Webb Simpson. Like, oh, maybe he figured it out on the greens. Or maybe he just went through like a hot month and Glover was making everything and he's back to being Lucas Glover. Keegan, not turning it around on the greens anytime soon. The ball striking is still exactly where it is and he continues to bleed strokes on the green. Just maybe you get that week where he gains 0.9 on the field and all of a sudden you're looking at your winner. I feel like I'm going to end up talking myself into Keegan Bradley. Anyone else in this range? You see Roger Sloan is 90-1. He rates out really well, but I still kind of thought that was comical.
We're just in anything in front of 100?
Yeah, anything from 30 to 100.
I mean, Ollie?
Have all the Ollie.
I don't think I can.
I got Baroff coming on tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to bring up Ollie 800 times.
He's so proud of his Ollie like $6,400 DraftKings ownership last week.
He was.
Or what was that? What he was?
I think he might have been
And
even cheaper.
Yeah, it could have been cheaper. Could have been 61.
Hey, he was in the mix until 17 on Sunday.
Zach Johnson do anything for you?
Not really, but I think it's an intriguing number. I think if I was going to take, like, I took Im as one of those short hitters, but I think I like, out of those like 60 to 100 guys, instead of Zach Johnson, I like Knox and Grace and Im all more.
Schwartzel's number seems like it should be higher. 55-1.
He's a former winner. That's why. And he's never missed a cut at this event. I can't see who's backing that. It's like the Moore and Kisner numbers. I just wish they were deeper. You know what I mean? Are we done with this range? I got guys from beyond 100.
Shez has been lifeless. Oh, Kevin, nah, but
Maybe he's riding good Tiger vibes.
80-1 seems pretty decent.
It is, actually. I don't even know how really he played last week. Do you? I know he was paired with Tiger, but that's essentially all I know. He was a part of like the live stream. Like that was the group that you got to watch on Sunday, but I just decided not to watch too much of it.
Seeing too much red there, bud.
And he's a lot of red off the tee, but off the tee is sort of non-existent here. He was great in Mexico with the irons. Couldn't putt. The around the green game's still good. I don't see it. But if it's like a clicking Kevin Na week, what he does well is what you want at this course. Hit some fairways, be good with those like middle irons and make some putts.
And he fights for that par.
He will fight for that par.
He will fight for that par.
He's not afraid of a bogey train, though.
Oh, yeah.
He'll fight for bogey. Yeah.
Over 100. Let's go.
I don't see a whole lot of distinction, to be perfectly honest with you, between like the Zach Johnson range, Kevin Na, Michael Thompson, and guys all the way up to like 200. So I'd rather take the 200 guy. So the long shots for the week, I guess I'll start. Danny Willett, 150-1. KH Lee, 150-1. Adam Shank, 175-1. Give me those three. Shank rates out really well. And he's been playing sneaky good.
Okay, Willett, I'm on.
Well, this is the spot that we wanted Willett at. Tough course where he can grind, where driving doesn't matter, and he's gained on approaches in 9 straight tournaments.
Willett, I can get behind. I don't know. He's not playing as well as I'd hope, though.
Willett?
Yeah.
Willett's playing better than you think.
KH Lee is interesting. I don't think people have quite caught on to truly how round his game might be. You want any Nick Taylor at 125?
I think Nick Taylor may have blown his load a bit last week. Kelly Kraft was one who finished inside the top 10 of approach. He was lingering around through 3 rounds.
No Joel Damon?
Damon's tough. It's a good number for Damon.
Oh, yeah. Charlie's really hit the skids.
I got my auto bet on Neiman.
What are we, 150?
He's 125. Thought that was surprising. Maybe Corrales is the event for him. He can pair off with Tony Romo.
Duffner's game's been sideways.
Yeah.
So I could be in on
KH.
I am in on Willett. KH I would look at.
Shank.
Sun Kang do anything for you?
A little bit, yeah. I'm not on it. Like I said, I don't think there's a big distinction between Sung Kang and Danny Willett.
The course doesn't suit his skill set, But Patrick Rogers playing some good golf, but just doesn't seem like the optimal Rogers course.
Just if Rogers is putting, he's playing great. If he's not putting, he's not playing great. He's one of those guys, and he putts worse on Bermuda than anything else.
140 to 1.
Sure, I can have Will at 150 to 1. I can have KH Lee, who's better at 150 to 1. Shank, who's better at 175 to 1.
You could have Bo Hostler.
You could have Bo Hostler. Is he just what happened to Bo Hostler?
What do you mean?
I mean, it was at this point last year, he was like coming 5th in every tournament. I haven't seen his name on a leaderboard in ages.
You tell me what's up with Bo Hostler. I
Mi-
think he's
miscut-
doing fine.
Miscut 58th, 15th, miscut 39th, 57th, miscut.
A mixed bag.
And he has lost strokes on tee to green in 5 of his past 6 events, and he's only making cuts because he's putting the lights out.
He's an excellent putter.
He's not so hot around the greens anymore. After
know.
that being like the strength of his game.
If it's a week of fighting for par, we could.
I'd rather take Bud Colley as someone who fights for par better than Bo Hostler. Vaughn Taylor is super interesting. Vaughn Taylor's 300 to 1 in this field. How does that make any sense? Like, he was in the mix last week, wasn't he? I know he does it with smoke and mirrors, but is he substantially worse than Bo Hostler, who's 125 to 1? At least he's a PGA Tour winner. I might have to take some top 20 action. Maybe I'll just throw like $5 on the 300 to 1 with Vaughn Taylor.
What about your boy Roberto Castro?
Castro rates out really well in par 3s.
Thought he might.
What are his I didn't see
Not
him.
high enough. 175.
Yeah,
Varner 175.
Varner's really went in the can after like 5 great weeks. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see out of the 3 guys that I mentioned, Shank, KH Lee, and Willett. I feel like that's where my money's going.
I'm done, but I just have a question because I just want a status update on the guy.
Kelly Craft and Vaughn Taylor, maybe DraftKings, maybe like a super duper long shot.
What's Denny McCarthy been up to?
Best player in the field from that key par 3 range over the past 24 rounds, 200 to 225.
Because he's a sneaky guy that like had a lot of hype and then has kind of just sort of been forgotten, and now it's a real big number.
So over the past 24, what's his number? 200?
150.
150. So over the past 24 rounds, he's first in the field, 200 to 225 yard par 3s, 12th in the field, 400 to 450 yard par 4s. And he's doing it all basically through putting and short game. He is not, the irons have just abandoned him. And I don't know if that's all that big of a part of his game anyway. Like at Honda, he missed the cut where he only gained on approach.
Do you want to know the truth? I don't like betting anybody whose irons I don't trust. Because yes, everything else, something successful needs to happen before you can hit that iron where you want it. And something needs to successfully happen after you hit that iron. But to me, ball striking it's like what I'm such a sucker for.
As you should be. That's what predicts the most winners.
That's
how Keith Mitchell ends up winning a tour event. That's how Luke List will inevitably win a tour event. Through immaculate ball striking.
So Sergio finally won a major.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's really where I'm at. It's a fun feel. I just like watching this event. I've had success here betting in the past too, so that always goes hand in hand.
Not ready.
So I'm gonna have to make some decisions here. Quick picks for the week. I will start. I have already bet Henrik Stenson at 35 to 1, Sungjae Im at 60. I'm gonna bet Snedeker at 55. And then I have KH Lee, Willett, and Adam Shank as super long shots. You really invest much of them at 150, 150, and 175. I am giving ample consideration to Keegan, Russell Knox, and Brennan Grace. I can see one of those guys ending up on the card. What are you doing?
I have a lot of names I'm going to say, but this is going to get cut down, but I'm just living in this range.
Say the guys you've already bet on.
Well, the guys I've already bet on is Snedeker. I did it during the show.
Okay.
And Danny Willett.
Okay.
So
those are the 2.
Those are the 2 that I've already actually bet. But this range kind of really has me. Rafa, I think I'm going to be in on. And Russell Knox, I really like a lot. And I'm going to look at Im. I think Kisner's game is peaking, and it's sort of like that.
Kisner match play next week.
Revenge. Sure, but it fits. I don't know. Some of the past winners here sort of just do what Kisner does, but better.
Well, remember when Streelman won here and he birdied his last 7 holes to win?
That was obnoxious. Literally. Usually those are like 7-hole par runs when we're talking about Kevin Streelman. And yeah, Stenson might just have to start the card. Stenson might be the first bet and the lowest odd guy that I'm going to play.
I can see people jumping on Stenson here and that number getting beat down. So I think if you want it, you hit it now.
I just feel like he, sort of like the same way. A lot of people are like, I haven't been burned by Stenson once because I haven't touched him. So if I want to put my hand on near the stove, I don't like feel like it's just been this pit of him screwing me where I have all these negative feelings that I feel like a lot of people might. I sort of felt like that with Day last week. I know their situations are so different, but I wasn't burned by the thing. So I felt like I could take my chance. And if I get burned, I get burned. But it's that range I'm going to live in. I can see the top winning again. I always can. But at this course and the unpredictability of past winners, even when Casey won last year, I feel like he was 33, 35.
He was 35.
Yeah.
He won at 35 last year. The last favorite to win, top odds guy was Spieth. Because Casey won at 35, Hadwin won at 100 to 1. Streelman was beyond 100.
Charles might have been 66.
No, Charles was 50.
Okay.
He was still playing well enough. He was in that middle range. And Sendon, when he won 5 years ago, was 200 to 1.
I bet you Woodland was probably 50 or 60.
I don't know. Woodland was 9 years ago.
Oh.
I think Furyk has won more recently at this event than Woodland has. So those guys that I mentioned in the middle tier is where I'm going, unless I just decide to go with Reed or Sergio, because those are both in play for me because I do like them, but I might might be how I start my DraftKings team with those two. One and done picks of the week. I don't know who Cuss pick is yet, and he's the guy that you want to tail because he's beating the two of us.
Okay, he's going to take the best player he hasn't taken yet, so I'm going to guess he's
Day.
on Sergio.
I'm going to guess he takes Day.
Mm.
Yo, Paul, yes?
I believe he said that he was going to take Reed last night in our group chat.
Yeah, but he hasn't made
He didn't officially
unofficially taking Patrick Reed right now. So Patrick Reed is off the board for us. You had Tommy Fleetwood last week. I had Sergio, so you get to pick first.
It's a real hard one for me. So what I pick right now is going to stick, and it's the contest.
Pick Rom.
No, I don't want to pick any of those guys.
Didn't we just talk about how you should take the top of the board?
I know, but I don't listen to myself.
You can't take Gary Woodland for the 4th time this year.
This could backfire. Rafa.
You're taking Rafa Cabrera. Are you sure you haven't taken him?
Come on.
This is exactly what you said with Woodland the last time.
No,
around.
Woodland, that was an epic miscalculation, Pat.
I'm taking Stenson. Stenson's going to be my one and done. So
You know what, though? Let's just... I just don't want to screw this up.
Well, you can just put it... I print it in the cheat sheet on Wednesday anyway, so if you have used Rafa, you can just give me another pick. How about that? Instead of watching you go through your phone for 5
Yeah, but
minutes.
they're so good here, and I'm already on the page, and I've already requested to make my pick, and I'm going to pick my golfer.
Pick
and
Ollie.
And the great system that they've incorporated over at Gups Corner means that I can check, but I'm paranoid I've taken Rafa, now that you think about it.
He seems like a guy you would take.
Still available under at G Fienberg 21.
All right, so Rafa Cabrera for you. So I guess you're going to be betting Rafa Cabrera too then.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about betting him last week. I had the miscut. I don't know. His number stayed the same. I don't mind it.
I'll bet you $50 Keegan finishes better than Rafa.
I don't want... I might not want to bet on Keegan, but I'm also not looking to pick on Keegan.
You know what's awesome about the Players' Championship? It just occurred to me that Tim lost money on the Players' Championship, despite having the guy who won.
That's really good.
That's what you get when you claim that no hole-in-one is free money. And then all the hole-in-ones happen. Anyway, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. You can check out my write-up on dkplaybook.com right now. The link to the Pat Mayo Experience Open DraftKings Listeners League is in the description of this video. I'll be back with Ryan Baroff tomorrow. Any final thoughts, Jeff? People can follow you at gfienberg17.
Yeah. No final thoughts. Match plays next week.
Yeah. So no DraftKings show next week. We'll try to incorporate that into our show because it starts on Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, and they do that like made for TV Monday night thing.
Oh, is that when it is? So we'll have to do the show Tuesday next week.
Yeah, I guess.
We should probably wait until the actual.
We've done it without waiting before.
That doesn't turn out well. They don't do that Sunday night?
I think they do it Monday.
All right, we'll do it the day after. Maybe we'll do it live. Watch the pairings come out.
Maybe.
That's something to look into. We'll actually find out when it is and then try to plan
It is
around
Monday
that.
night.
It is Monday night?
It's been Monday night for like 2 years since
Yeah, but they
decided
changed
to
the
do it.
entire schedule this year. Who knows? Less than a month of the Masters.
Yeah.
So if you want to start researching the Masters field right now, go to fantasynational.com. Everything is loaded in there. If you want to get into a draw for $20 DK, 2 ways to do so. 1, smash the like button, leave your DraftKings handle, highest odds guy to miss the cut. Number 2, leave a 5-star review. iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, DraftKings handle, something nice about the show. And you're in a draw for $20 DK. Winners announced on next Monday's show, or potentially next Tuesday's show, with Geoff as we break down the match play. Anyway, that'll do it. Enjoy the Valspar Championship. Good luck. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
That Mayo experience! Experience!